Do you know the number one thing that surprises engaged couples? Take a guess. The sheer amount of decisions they have to make while planning a wedding. Indoors or outdoors? How many guests? Are kids invited? Controversial. Which cake flavor? Seriously, how do you even begin to figure out what's right for you? That's where Zola comes in. Zola has everything you need to make every wedding decision a piece of cake, from choosing your dream wedding venue and vendors to deciding how to best spend your budget. With tons of customizable wedding websites, save the dates and invites, every detail will feel like you. Zola will even help you choose the gifts, experiences, and cash funds you really want. The next thing you know, you've planned your whole wedding all in one place. From getting engaged to getting married, Zola has everything you need to plan your wedding in one place. Start planning at Zola.com. That's Zola.com.
Hello, it is Ryan, and we could all use an extra bright spot in our day, couldn't we? Just to make up for things like sitting in traffic, doing the dishes, counting your steps, all the mundane stuff. That is why I'm such a big fan of Chumba Casino. Chumba Casino has all your favorite social casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere with daily bonuses. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com. That's ChumbaCasino.com.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
You are listening to I Am Refocused Radio with your host, Shamaya Reed. This show is designed to inspire you to live your purpose and regain your focus. And now, here's your host, Shamaya Reed.
Hey, welcome to I Am Refocused Radio once again, just like any other time, man. We have another amazing show for y'all today, and guess what, man? Today we're going to be all about hip-hop and rap. We're going to talk to our special guest. He's coming from the Bronx, Kevin King. He is going to share with us not just his music journey, why did he get into the music scene, and how it's going so far, because you know what time it is. It's the new year. Happy New Year to you and everyone out there watching us. 2025 is going to be big for anybody who goes out there and just make it happen. So first and foremost, we have Kevin King. How you doing today, sir?
I'm fantastic. Thank you for having me on today, Shemai. It's a pleasure to be here.
Well, I appreciate your time, man. So first and foremost, kind of paint the picture for the audience. At what point did you say, you know what, I want to get into this music game, and how did that work out for you as far as just the beginning process? Because we all know if you're doing this as a job, you're going to be wearing many hats.
Absolutely. Just to even start, I've been wanting to be in the music industry since I was 16, 17 years old. I was developing my pen with the people around me. I was writing, freestyling, rapping, doing all that sort of stuff, and getting into the studio, sort of making songs. But like any other millennial Gen Xer, right, I had that anxiety in me that sort of stopped me for the longest period of time. So I really wanted to wait until it felt like the moment was right. And I've had a million conversations before between myself and my guy, Rome Holman. He would tell me all the time, hey, I'm putting this out, I'm putting this out. And I'm like, let me get a feature, let me jump on, let me do something. But I would never put something out for myself because I was always worried about the public seeing you not be a celebrity, right? Everybody's so scared to be seen starting out, but they want to get to that end point. So at some point, that was something I dealt with. And within the last year, really, I decided it's time. Like, it's going to be now or never. Seeing people like Griselda, so Benny, Conway, Westside Gunn, those guys be in their 30s and do what they do now, they're starting to really blow up, right? I started really looking into it, and a lot of artists that I really like started later on in life. So it encouraged me. It said to me, like, let me get that extra bit in and let me just put the work in and see what happens. Whether or not it's a pass or fail game, that's up to me, and that's up to if it connects with the audience in front of me.
That's what I appreciate about the show, because you always hear from everybody. They all have their unique journey, and also everyone has their pain points. But the difference maker is what people actually do after they experience that pain point. For you, since you did make that point that you started later on in your life, what has been your advantage being able to start later on in life? Because maybe you have more experience, life experience that you put into your music. Paint that picture for the audience. What are some of the things that you basically say, you know what, I can use this as my advantage as I'm birthing my career?
One thing I was worried about was having something to say. And I'm glad I haven't run out of that sort of stuff, especially even getting a little bit older. You find that a lot of the things that were important 10 years ago are still important now, just in different ways, right? You still think about money. You still think about the world around you, the things that are being impacted. I think age brings a little bit of wisdom. I feel like I'm a relatively smart dude, but I didn't have the wisdom that I feel like I have now about life. Like, everybody hears their parents and they're like, you don't know nothing. And then 5-10 years down the road into adulthood, you're like, damn, maybe mom was right. Maybe she had a couple points there. From a sort of practical perspective, I think resources now, I make connections to people that are in the industry. I've been able to reach out a lot more. I've been able to also build up capital, right? So having that little bit of an extra base to be able to run a couple ads here and there, to be able to push and film, right? Find a good videographer who will say, this, we could put you here, we could position you in this way, and this way. Find people that have done it before for other people and sort of get that initial ball rolling has been super helpful. Like, don't get me wrong, I think all artists can make something out of nothing, but having a little bit of that support system built around you, seeing people do it, being able to choose the people that you work with is a major advantage, I think.
Once again, you listen to Refocused Radio, talking to our guest today, Kevin King, and also watching us online. I want to dive in deeper on that point you made about having, good sense of team, people around you, a videographer, camera guy that can put you in the right place and have that creative eye to help bring your ideas to life. Kind of point on that, what has been the experience, trial and error, trying to test and see, okay, this kind of works and this has to be adjusted a little bit. What does that process look like for you when you're using that creativity and also trusting someone else to use their talents and gifts?
Yeah, I think part of it is, again, finding the right people. So one thing that had been a problem for a long time is running into people that aren't really serious. So you'll see a producer who's willing to send you a beat. He'll send you 5-10 beats, but then you send him something back. He's excited. He's like, yo, I want to do this. I want to do this. And you're like, okay, well, give me this revision that I need this weekend, right? Or X weekend, because you have a plan. You have 6 weeks putting together this music. They just don't get back, right? Or they get back in 2 weeks and be like, oh, I got something for you. So I think finding that seriousness, finding people who actually take their work seriously, don't put personal commitments first all the time. Because this is a personal commitment in a huge way. I think that's the first part of it. In terms of the artistic process, having people who have played with different genres and sounds has been a godsend. I feel like someone who works on jazz knows what to listen to, right? That really has the pop in jazz. Someone who's worked on a pop song before knows what works for hits, right? And how you structure your song. And you can borrow and lend from a lot of different ears. It's hip hop at the end of the day. You're not going to have other people in the room writing with you, hopefully. Let me not say that. It's cool. It's hip hop, but it is 2025, right? Yeah. So things might be a little different. But from where I'm coming from, you're the writer, but you definitely have a lot of people who can contribute sound wise, who can say, yo, on this tape, you sounded maybe a little bit dead, or maybe the idea you're having doesn't have the legs that you think it does, right? I got a song that hopefully will be out by the time people hear this. It's called Phantom Tax. And I was doing like a Marilyn Manson type thing on it, where I was like real slow, kind of calm, right? And then like kind of creepy with the vibe. And when I did it in the studio, the person that I work with, my engineer, Cease, he was like, that sounds cool, like when we ain't here, but it'll sound dead when we actually put this put this on wax and then get it mixed in. You're gonna be overtaken by all this, so you need to add a little bit more to it, right? So that type of stuff is stuff that you can't get without trying it first, but you also can't get without having the people who have those different ears around you that have seen and experienced the different types of music that people make.
What has been the community response in the Bronx area, especially like maybe friends, family, or just in general, your listeners? What has been some of the feedback that they've been able to provide for you as you're growing as a new artist?
Yeah, so what's been cool is emotionally hearing from people that maybe weren't expecting that I would put anything out that's good, right? And that's your first inner circle, the friends, the family, those people, they'll be like, I'm going to be critical a little bit more because they know you, right? They have that experience with you that says they saw when you were a kid just joking around in class or whatever, or they saw when you were, just living your life, working your first corporate job, let's say. So a lot of that response has actually meant a lot to me. What was really cool is it's different from like strangers, right? I think you know this yourself, right, Shamaya? So like you hear strangers tell you, this is dope. It's a different type of validation. It's still great, but it's different. Yeah. So that's been really, really awesome. In terms of what that reception has looked like, I think I'm starting to build a little bit of perception as a more conscious MC, somebody who tends to think a lot. Funny enough, I'm like, that's not really me. Like I'm not a dummy, hopefully, but I'm not the conscious dude. I just tend to say it a lot on the songs that I'm on. So I'm hoping with these next couple songs, this next project, I really get to sort of expand that reception with people. But on King's Ransom, that just released recently, you definitely will see a little bit more of a conscious side, a conscious slant that came when I recorded those songs.
Once again, listen on Refocused Radio, talking to Kevin King, and you're watching this online. I want to go back a little bit when you touched on how people in the studio, the professionals in that space, they provide you feedback. I think feedback is always crucial, whatever you're doing in life. And it's one thing to have tough skin and be able to get better at the craft and get better at everything you're doing with your music, but it's another thing to take what people are saying and say, you know what, I'm going to stay true to myself, but I'm going to still adjust a little bit to make sure that I am actually giving out good product. How do you keep that balance with staying true to who you believe you are with your signature sound versus professional criticism?
Yeah, I have a sort of double-sided theory on this, and it basically boils down to you make music about yourself for other people, right? So at the end of the day, you don't want to be the only person listening to your music. So the little touches and affects that you might have that really work for your ear don't necessarily always work for others. So I like to shop my music around. I got a small group of people that I work with that, they're honest. And that's really what I look for. You find a lot of so this is unrelated but related. I used to work at Yelp back in the day. And Yelp, you got two different spectrums. You got the 5-star review, you got the 1-star review, and everything in between people don't really care about as much for some reason. But in between that 2 to 4 stars, right? Those people that'll be honest with you, critique you, and still look for the good in your work. Those are some of the best people to hear from. And that's where you really can build and grow. So that for me has been the main thing, is taking into account that I need to stay authentic to myself and really putting that at the forefront of what I do in terms of how I write, the metaphors I'll use, the similes, the imagery. Like I'm a very heavy imagery person. But I really want to develop my sound for somebody who's going to listen to this for 2 minutes and has to sit here for 2 minutes while I perform for them,
When you see the trends that are going on in the music industry, now that we're in New Year, what's some of the things that you're noticing from the business standpoint in the music industry that you feel can be helpful for your personal brand, or also what else you see that you hope can get better as an industry?
Yeah. So I think that one of the things that is a big realization for me coming into 2025 is the importance of being a content creator beyond just making music. I always thought a lot of artists will live their lives by basically just dropping music, and if you kind of get lucky, you get lucky. It's not a lottery system at the end of the day. I think a lot of this is building a business, and you have to put that at the forefront. In terms of trends, like there's the micro trends and how people create their content, to sort of shift away from visual hooks and exciting drops into more authenticity-based content. Like people want to connect with the person as opposed to be given that visual flashy style. I think that's more of a business thing, right? Or more of a presentation style thing. Things that we could fix in the music industry. I haven't been in it long enough to say, right? But for sure, everybody, whoever works in music is going to tell you that artists deserve more like artists.
Do you know the number one thing that surprises engaged couples? Take a guess. The sheer amount of decisions I have to make while planning a wedding. Indoors or outdoors? How many guests? Are kids invited? Controversial. Which cake flavor? Seriously, how do you even begin to figure out what's right for you? That's where Zola comes in. Zola has everything you need to make every wedding decision a piece of cake, from choosing your dream wedding venue and vendors to deciding how to best spend your budget. With tons of customizable wedding websites, save the dates and invites, every detail will feel like you. Zola will even help you choose the gifts, experiences, and cash funds you really want. The next thing you know, you've planned your whole wedding all in one place. From getting engaged to getting married, Zola has everything you need to plan your wedding in one place. Start planning at Zola.com. That's Zola.com.
It is Ryan Seacrest here. There was a recent social media trend which consisted of flying on a plane with no music, no movies, no entertainment. But a better trend would be going to ChumbaCasino.com. It's like having a mini social casino in your pocket. Chumba Casino has over 100 online casino-style games, all absolutely free. It's the most fun you can have online and on a plane. So grab your free welcome bonus now at ChumbaCasino.com. Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus terms and conditions apply.
This are the last people, and let me rephrase, performers, right? Lead vocalists, bands, rappers, whoever it is, are the last people to get their hands in the pie. Like, you want to talk about who's in whose pockets, right? In order for me to go make a song, I have to pay a producer. I have to pay an engineer. I have to pay marketing. I have to pay a whole bunch of different places for me to get the smallest amount of streaming revenue on the platform, right? So for sure, I think a way to capitalize better on the actual streams that we're getting, other avenues for growth. And I think this is something that I'm exploring with like sync licensing and sort of, that's another trend, by the way. I think sync licensing and sort of getting your music in earned and paid media as opposed to just looking for streams on Spotify or on YouTube or wherever. I think those are the things that need to change for artists. A little bit more of a fair economy, especially of scale for artists.
Yeah, let's talk about you as an artist, your style, because I've been able to see a couple of videos and I like it, man. Your voice is dope. You know what I'm saying? Your voice is dope.
I appreciate that.
That's me personally saying that. So there you go. When you see how you be able to capture your sound over time, what's some of the things that excite you as your ability to allow people to enter your world, your space of Kevin King?
Yeah, I think the vocal performance is one thing. Like going back to Yelp, it's gonna sound nuts. The first call I ever made, because I was cold calling. I wasn't doing nothing crazy. I was on the phones every single day talking to people in Holyoke, Massachusetts, and they was hanging up on me. The first dude was like, "Hello?" I said, "Hello." He started mocking my voice. I was like, "Oh, come on, man." So now I had a thing for a long time where I was like, I can't hear myself on a microphone because I know I'm like, yo, I don't sound hip hop. I don't think like, what does hip hop sound like? You got Danny Brown. But in reality, I think performance, that all comes down to is I want people to understand like who I am through my performance. And I think this first EP, King's Ransom, shows off like a lot of that conscious part of it, a lot of the, you know, the exciting aspects of it, the imagery, the lyricism part. But I really want to play around a lot more with performance in these upcoming projects that I'm working on. So if you listen to something like the Goyard Gatling song where I have myself sort of rapping in front of the bodega, right? I got a lot of lyrics in there that are cool, like these like double entendres or these like little imagery points. So many rats on my back. No wonder why we had splintered. First down jacket. When I was young, I was shivered, but now I let things I can't pronounce keep me warm in the winter, right? Like that sort of visual portion of it and the way that it evolves. But in the new stuff that I'm working on, I think I have a lot more performance. So instead of it being like, I'm just straight rapping, I have, even just going back to that Phantom Tax song, the hook on it is I'm like, I'm just looking for a love like Lucy, body evolution, right? And it's just like that little bounce to it as opposed to just being all about the lyricism and sort of that aspect of it. So growth as an artist for sure is something that I'm looking at, and to really sort of hone in on the question is getting you to know who I am. Because I think King's Ransom definitely shows you who I am from a world perspective, the world that I came from, sort of a little bit of who I am in terms of the playfulness part. And there's a song called Hoes Everywhere with my guy, Ron Holman. Ridiculous song, but I love it. And I want you to get you to know who I am as if you were talking to me in person, where you get to hear the type of person that I am and the kind of ridiculousness that exists in me through the next album or so.
This is Refocused Radio, talking to our guest today, Kevin King, and you're also watching us online. My next question will be, when it comes to marketing and putting yourself out there on shows, different platforms, interviews, how important is that for an artist to be able to get on platforms and not just share their story, but kind of shed more light into why they're doing music and the big core mission, I should say, of what they're trying to do for their audience to appreciate?
Yeah, it depends on the platform for sure. I don't want to name any names. There is a certain YouTube channel that goes out and recruits young MCs to stand on a rooftop and rap for them, for that thing to get 100,000 views and that artist to get 100 listeners in 6 months. We'll take your money if you are not particularly worth listening to yet. And I don't mean that as an attack on anybody's art, but I think there's a production quality. There's a performance aspect of everything that you do. So not everybody's going to be at that level yet. And there's a lot of companies out there that will give you a platform and say, this is going to give you exposure. Here, pay us $250, pay us $1,000, pay us whatever it is. That type of platform is not particularly helpful, but I think there's a lot of platforms that come from networking, a lot of platforms that come from being able to surface yourself, right? So the platforms that you already get, YouTube and TikTok and Instagram, and being able to surface who you are for the people around you who could be potential audience, being able to run ads for yourself and your music. Those are some of the most powerful things that you can do. And then once you get into sync licensing, right? You get your song on, I don't know, a Garfield movie, right? People who never watched anything hip hop but love Garfield are going to be your fans, provided the song is something that they enjoy. So I think it depends on the platform for sure, but I think the power of being able to surface yourself as an artist on the free platforms you have available to you, and on interviews like this, where the host genuinely, it feels like, has a connection to the person they're interviewing, where it feels like they have a genuine desire to spread their platform, right, and to grow. Those are the things that you really want to look for, and those are really impactful platforms.
I appreciate you saying that, because my personal story was starting Refocused. Stay in the Green Room started in 2017. But what's crazy about this is that 99% of all this is word of mouth. We don't run Google ads. We don't do all this stuff, because it was very interesting when you mentioned the point of some platforms charge to be on their platform and share your brand. And I guess that's the way to do it, especially you have history of having a big audience. But what you said about investing in yourself, running your own ads and doing all that, I think that's genius, because if you play the cards right, I think you have a better shot when you invest in yourself, whether it's reading, whether it's surrounding yourself with smarter people in different fields that can kind of show you the right way to go versus what I might think personally. I mean, that's what this platform has been able to survive off of, is networking and great minds giving me feedback and giving the platform feedback and understanding the core mission of what you're trying to do. And as long as you have those ducks lined up in a row, there's no limit, man. It's really just like you said, when you start investing in yourself, you start seeing your options.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good.
Funny enough, there's a song by my good friend Ron Holman called "Nothing New," where he talks about exactly that. Like, it's so much more about how you build what you build, right? The legitimate connection you have with the people, and the way that you build that fan base is not through, I'm going to spend X amount of money just to get on to what is essentially a glorified talent show, right? But yeah, he addresses that on Nothing New to Be Immortal, and I think that's like, that plays in my head a lot. I know this sounds crazy because you meet so many people who are like, I like what you do, can I get $1? And it's like, that verse definitely plays a lot in my head because of that, because I think about like, man, there's nothing that replaces that genuine connection that you get from putting out the music, from getting to your fans and having your fans spread, word of mouth.
Yeah, and just to add to that, the fans, they going to be the realest ones, man. I'm telling you, they are going to tell you cutthroat if they love it or they hate it. And the biggest thing you can always do after you get that kind of response is just own it and say, okay, what's next? Because I think a lot of times people, they quit too soon. Like they're so close to hitting the diamonds on the other side that they put their tools down, they quit and they give up. And you basically sealed the deal once that happens. Like you never know what could have been, because if you look years in advance, 10 years from now, from today, it's either going to be you still telling your story, or it's going to be you wishing that you kept going. So which one you rather be? Do you want to quit, or you want to rise up to the top based on what you know is true, and that's your message, that's who you are? So in closing, let you have the last word. As you are navigating the music industry, at the end of the day, what you are hoping will be your legacy when people hear about Kevin King 10 years from now?
Yeah, I'm hoping that like one of these songs at least. But what I really want to leave as my legacy is, I want to be a person who was authentic and true to who they were. Someone who was able to, of course, give them that good listen, right? That thing that they wanted to hear on this particular day that really stuck and resonated with them. But I wanted to be a person also who stood for something. I think far too often it's very easy for people to go around, chase, some sort of virality, this, that, and the third. And for me, it of course, the popularity part is something. But if you listen back, man, years ago, 10, 15 years ago, I had a freestyle over an old J. Cole song where I was talking about the things that I seen where I grew up, right? And what it would mean to be able to give back to the people that are from where I'm from. That is what I want my legacy to be. I want to be a person who, of course, can make you laugh. I want to be a person who can make you feel something when that song starts, and when that song ends. And I want to be a person that, at the end of the day, is the Bronx. Like, as if nothing else, I'm a representation of where I come from.
Well, once again, been watching us and listening to us on audio podcasts on Refocused Radio, and been talking to our guest today, Kevin King. If someone wants to stay in touch with you on social media for upcoming music videos, new projects in the future, what's the best platform that they can expect to see some news from you?
Yeah, at this point, I'm still responding to DMs on Instagram. So DM me, I don't really care. Follow me first. Instagram, TikTok, any platform really, it's Kevin King 922. That's going to be the easiest way to find me. On Spotify, go by Kevin King. Go ahead and listen to King's Ransom as soon as you're done with this podcast, or stream another episode of this pod, right? And then go listen to King's Ransom. But yeah, I'm not hard to find. Definitely not hard to find. Kevin King, number 9, number 2.
Well, on that note, once again, I'm Refocused Radio. Watch this on YouTube, on Refocused Network. Also go to our main website, refocusedradio.com. If you want to be a guest, just hit us up, but make sure you hit up Kevin King. That is the guy you want to remember for 2025. And like always, man, I want to say thank you for your time, man.
Yeah, that's love. Thank you so much. I appreciate you letting me on today, Shemaya.
It is Ryan Seacrest here. There was a recent social media trend which consisted of flying on a plane with no music, no movies, no entertainment. But a better trend would be going to ChumbaCasino.com. It's like having a mini social casino in your pocket. Chumba Casino has over 100 online casino-style games, all absolutely free. It's the most fun you can have online and on a plane. So grab your free welcome bonus now at ChumbaCasino.com. Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus terms and conditions apply.